All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Action Creator Series podcast. I'm your host, roycejak, and our guest today is Nainoa Langer. Okay, so Nainoa is a man of many talents, but he's primarily known for his work in creative directing and photography. He is one of the most celebrated content creators for the Instagram travel kingpin Beautiful Destinations. He has done creative work for companies such as Boosted Boards and GoPro, as well as many others. He has filmed a gang of concerts and festivals for various artists and recently came off tour with famed EDM producer Illenium as one of his head photographers and videographers. And last but not least, he's just a cool dude. We had a great talk. It was great talking to him. He has a lot of good insight, not just in regards to photography or creative directing, but towards life as a whole and the way you should act as a person, what will lead you to success in whatever you're doing, and that's what it's all about here at Action Productions. Not just excelling in your space or your niche, but excelling as a whole and being the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. So, with all that said, please welcome your boy, Nainoa Langer. Three, two, one. All right, what's up, guys? We're speaking with the man, Nainoa Langer, and I gave you guys a brief introduction already as to who he is, but Nainoa, how would you describe yourself and what you do?
Yeah, what's up, guys? Well, I think I'd describe myself as a filmmaker, photographer, adventurer, world traveler, kind of music kid now in a sense, but yeah, I'm a 25-year-old content creator in kind of like every sense you can think of it. Based out of Hawaii, I was born and raised on Molokai. And yeah, from there I've kind of just gone around the world, and this camera's kind of taken me to, a bunch of places from just being a little island boy. In a nutshell, that's what I do. But yeah, I think I'm just a pretty normal, average kid from Hawaii, and been pretty lucky to be able to see a lot of the world so far and get to have fun doing what I love to do.
Yeah, brother, the talent you have and the skills you've acquired in this space have definitely allowed you to do some crazy things. Like you said, world travel. It's what you do for a living pretty much now, right?
Yeah.
Let's start from kind of the beginning. How would you say you got introduced to the photography kind of adventure, just capturing adventures?
Yeah.
Like, how'd you first come upon that?
It was, growing up here, in Hawaii, like, we're surrounded by just absolute natural beauty and everything that, we get to see it every single day of our lives. So, I actually didn't have any kind of passion for, photography or video growing up. I really didn't kind of develop it until I was about 21 or 22.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So,
dang.
yeah, it's crazy. In my early days, I was kind of just, Molokai is so small. Like, it's 7,000 people. It's like,
pretty
there's no
tight
stoplights.
community, yeah.
It's tiny, right? And I was really just kind of preoccupied with just living, kind of like island life. I played sports and stuff, but I didn't have a camera or anything growing up, so like that wasn't really an option or anything.
Yeah.
Then I left, I went to school on Oahu, and kind of just like I picked up a GoPro first off, and this was at the point where like GoPros were like the
just
big
popping
thing
off.
to get. Yeah, and you see on Instagram everyone's taking GoPro selfies in these epic places and making these cool little edits, and I just thought, hey, why the hell not? I'll do it too. And it just kind of snowballed from there. I started posting these photos and videos on Instagram, and at the time I was working at a hospital over on Oahu, so I worked for 3 years at the hospital before I even touched a camera.
I had no idea that was the case. Yeah. was that difficult to balance at all? Or I guess at the time it was just a hobby, right?
Yeah. It was definitely just like that thing that I like to do on the side. Like the hospital was, it was cool because it gave me money. Like, it was my first full-time job. I was working, making a decent amount, enough to take care of myself, and that was something that I'd never known before. But to be able to kind of like escape that whole, I guess
9 to 5.
9 to 5, yeah, exactly, that whole
rat
thing,
race.
and just get out in nature and do my thing. We did hiking a lot, cliff jumping, and just adventure type of stuff. But that was everything to me, and it was my chance to kind of like express some kind of creativity that I never got to before. So it was a big deal to really just leave that hospital setting as much as I could. And that just turned into what it is now, and just being able to improve this photography skill and like video stuff. And it was kind of crazy. I quit that job, and it just kind of snowballed after that.
The passion has become the profession.
Yeah, exactly. I know that's a very kind of cliche thing to
definitely
to say a lot, but and even for me, like when I first started, my whole saying and like tagline was "Follow your stoke."
Yep.
And at the time, it was just like, I needed to come up with something that kind of represented what I wanted to portray, which still holds true today. But it's that idea of like, being able to do what actually makes you happy, what gives you fulfillment in your life, and brings that excited feeling to wake up every day and go do it.
Exactly.
So that's the whole background behind the photography stuff.
Right on, man. Dude, I had no idea that you started at age 21, which makes my perception of the success that you found that much more impressive. So how did you approach like learning how to progress in the space? Who did you see as mentors in the space? Like, how did you, because you are at this point, I think not just in my opinion, but the opinion of many others, at the very top tier of this adventure, not just adventure photography, primarily adventure, but just the photography space.
I appreciate that.
As a whole. So how did you approach learning about cameras, composition, etc.?
I mean, honestly, a lot of it was just through examples of, work that I'd seen before, and not to kind of sound copy-ish or, like that, having that vibe of, imitating what you've already seen, but it definitely takes, a little bit of inspiration from other, I guess, maybe outside, examples of work or things that inspire you. And so for me, that was watching, other people's works. Like, I mean, a big one was like Rory Kramer. And this is at the point where like Rory was the epitome of, someone who just kind of cut off what they were doing in life. They weren't happy and just went and lived, that kind of like nomadic, creative film life. And that's what he was doing. So he was a huge inspiration. People like Sam Colder that just kind of pioneered the whole type of, I guess, travel edit vibes.
They really pioneered a certain look too, not just through their videos, but through the photos. Like how they balance their colors and their lights is pretty much like a few years back. I think that's because that was the first time I was introduced into this space too, was watching Sam Colder's stuff. And they really did pioneer kind of that certain look. But like you said, like you're finding inspiration and kind of not directly imitating, obviously, but you were finding inspiration from them. And I think it's good to know that I can almost guarantee that they did the exact same thing to people that they aspire. Like everyone who's great in a space and who you look up to has probably looked up to someone before them, and then before that, and then and then that's just the cycle. Everyone needs inspiration from individuals.
Yeah, man.
Know what's possible. Know what looks good.
It's funny because you tend to, when you see people with success, you tend to think that they did it all themselves. You know, or like when you first get introduced to someone, then it's like, oh, how did he build this type of, this not image, but like this kind of reputation for being so good at what they do. And a lot of behind the scenes and the early stuff that you don't see is like they got their inspiration from watching people who did it before them. And just like for an example, like I know Sam, because I worked really closely with him. A lot of the inspiration he kind of got was from these store kids who were doing like parkour and stuff like around the world, and that was like a huge just movement. They kind of pioneered that, and Sam took his own kind of twist on it.
And that definitely makes sense because he's all about them flips.
And it's crazy. You can see the type of innovation that comes when people, you know, get creative and they see inspiration, but they put their own kind of twist on it.
Exactly.
Then the possibilities of like creating is just endless. Everyone's got their own unique kind of feel to things.
And then once you become more skilled in the actual act of doing, then you can just get even more creative and more creative.
Yeah.
And that's just the constant cycle. You just keep getting better, getting more creative.
Exactly.
And then, it keeps going on.
Exactly.
Right on, man. So, when you introduced yourself, you mentioned that you were able to travel the world doing this now. So you travel the world. I know you recently went on tour with Illenium.
Yeah.
Who, personally, one of my definitely top 5 EDM artists out there.
Yeah.
So I'm extremely jealous of your connection and what you do for him. But obviously you deserve that. And yeah, from all the work I've seen you do with him, it's top tier, incredible. So, do you just want to? how do you like the tour life? Just period, like pros, cons.
Yeah.
What's great? What's not so hot?
Bro, what's funny is I actually was just like kind of sitting down last night and writing about this, because I kind of reflect back on, it's been about four months now, like of kind of just being consistently doing shows with the Illenium team and everything, and it's definitely got its good and its bad sides. I mean, in social media and everything that you kind of see put out, it all just looks like a big party. It's just super fun. Everyone's just having a good time.
Big old highlight reel.
Yeah, it totally. You see that all of that end product, and that you don't realize like how much hours goes in behind that to make that one 60-minute set go through, and it's like just it's endless. And so even on his end, it's, you know, the grind never stops for him, but for me it's like I wanted to kind of capture those moments that lead up to the show and just tell a different story of, you know, and what actually goes into everything. And even Nick himself, his Illenium anyway, his whole backstory is just crazy, and he's kind of just come out with it recently. He went through like just drug addiction and, you know, overdosed and struggled with like demons for a very good amount of his life. And so for me personally, like I'm all about kind of going deeper into things and into people's stories, and I saw their opportunity as just something very, you know, deep to tell, and like a really, really good story, and it was like a challenge to me. So I was like, you know, this is something that I want to stick with, and I know these guys are going to be a big thing soon. So I've been lucky enough to be able to get intimate with them, and I'm actually I haven't really told anyone this yet, but I'm starting a mini documentary on him.
Oh man, dropping exclusives.
Kind of, yeah.
Exclusive on the Action Creator series.
It was kind of coming. I mean, he announced a little bit of his story already over social media and stuff, but I'm kind of spearheading the video production side of everything. And I've kind of been doing these shorter versions with it. I mean, just like for YouTube, of like a few minute longs, videos of traveling and just like shows with him. But I definitely see it as a huge opportunity to kind of tell that story, and I don't know, push myself in that type of situation. I mean, like in that sense of documentary filmmaking.
And that was obviously, I stayed in tune with your stories as you were on tour, specifically Red Rocks. Like I really liked what you did with the Red Rocks. Kind of like you were saying before, there's so much that goes into the making and the back end, the production side of things, when all you see is a blip in comparison to everything that went into it. And you did a really good job with, obviously Instagram stories are kind of limited to time. Like you can spam, but it's not wise to just spam stories. But you did it like perfectly to where you would show just exactly, like you got the feel that everyone was working super hard and there is a lot that goes into it. And you did a good job telling that story for that specific event. And I think that's what's led you to be as successful as you are right now, is your ability to tell stories and get across certain points and themes that really resonate with your audience. So how important would you say the storytelling aspect of this space is?
Yeah. Well, first, thank you.
Of course, yeah. No,
I appreciate it, man.
It's what I'm here for.
I think, honestly, now more than ever, because of everything that's, I mean, just social media has kind of just spammed the entire internet with only the good moments and only these 1% moments of like life that you see, when in reality the 99% of things that go on behind the scenes are, you know, those might not be the most glamorous and beautiful, I guess, scenes, but they're real, they're raw, and I think that being able to tell a story can connect with people on a different level than just showing the good stuff. And so for me, I'm still kind of pushing myself and trying to learn more how to be a better storyteller and, you know, hone that craft. But it's been my main focus probably for the last 2 years now, just being in this space. And it's everything. And then it doesn't just limit yourself to being able to visually tell a story, but in all senses, like whether it's writing or voiceover or directing and reading.
Yeah,
I don't
dude.
know, just anything.
You do a really good job at writing. Like your captions, you're very articulate and
Thank you.
You write great captions.
I appreciate it.
Like
yeah.
and I don't know specifically when you started incorporating those longer form captions onto your photos, but dude, those are fire. Like your caption, and dude, like they're so well thought out, they're so thoughtful.
Yeah.
And that's just to speak to your ability to tell stories. And again, that's why I think you have found this crazy level of success. Goes beyond the visual stuff. It's straight up shit's inspiring.
Yeah. Thanks,
so
man.
Yeah, off on kind of a tangent there. Great tangent.
All good. Yeah.
But back to touring. Like what were some of the pros and cons about touring?
Oh, totally. Well, I mean, the pros, obviously, I mean, you get to travel. I mean, that's always a plus. You get to see all these places. You have a lot of fun. The shows are always great. You know, getting to meet people is amazing. I think the cons, kind of it's pretty obvious, but it's just nonstop. Usually, like
nonstop
tours
partying,
back to back. Oh, I mean, just like travel.
Yeah,
partying too. I mean, in a sense,
gets a little grueling. I imagine you kind of fall out of routine.
It's work,
yeah,
man.
You're just grinding.
The cool thing though with the Millennium team and the people there is that they're completely sober, so they don't drink, they don't smoke, like they don't really like go hard or like in the sense that it's very contradicting to the industry, you know, because it's seen as just this like huge drug-filled kind of alcohol-filled party scene, but with
you think they'd be a rock star.
Yeah, and that's what you think.
Yeah.
Nick is I mean, because of his backstory, he's just been very disciplined in kind of just changing that, I guess, perception of what it is and what EDM is. And so it's been really cool because I'm pretty much sober for the most part too.
Yeah.
So when I'm touring with these guys, it's just it's work, brother, and they're like some of the hardest working guys I know. But again, yeah, it's like it's tiring, man. Freaking a couple.
I can imagine. What specific, like, do you guys do a show every once a week, every other day, like every 2 weeks?
Dude, usually.
How is that?
So with like his schedule, it's pretty much every weekend with the exception of maybe a few weekends throughout the year. But a weekend will usually be filled with either a Friday night show, Saturday night, and Sunday night, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or maybe just Friday, Saturday. I've been lucky. I mean, like, I'm not totally on board with every single show. I'm usually just along with the big international ones or the bigger festivals. But it's nonstop for them.
That's sick.
Yeah,
kind of only being in there for the big time ones.
Yeah. I've been super lucky.
Not to say that they're not all great, but yeah, just being able to go international specifically is a huge perk of that.
I'm spoiled. I made it known to them that I can't do all of them. Like I feel like I would totally burn out if it was just like nonstop the way he does it. But he's just genuinely, you know, DJs in general, they love what they do and stuff. So it's fun for them. But in terms of myself and like my creative, I guess, juices to be strained like that. It's kind of intense. But yeah, just being able to be around on the bigger shows it's always a great time. Like I thought I'd get tired of shooting them, and I kind of feel it at points when it's a bit too much, but
maybe on like the third day, like on a Sunday of a three day bender.
Exactly.
It probably
but
gets
every time I watch a set, it's like I remember why I freaking love shooting him and just being able to work with them. And I think about it, it's like I don't generally enjoy shooting most shows. So it's like I found that my connection with Nick's music in general, or I mean just it's genuine. Like I love his work. I don't think I could do this kind of work with like any other kind of artist, to be honest.
Yeah, no, dude, yeah. Back to like not just because you work with him, but dude, Illenium, like before I had any idea that you were working with him.
Yeah.
I was such a huge fan of Illenium. And then when I saw that you started working with him, I was like, no shit, dude, that's crazy. That's so sick. My favorite set at Coachella this past year.
Sick. Yeah, like, dude, it was wild. It was really cool.
The dude's such a master of his craft.
Yeah.
How old is he?
So he's 20. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this, but he's either 28 or 27 or 29. So, I know it's in that range. Trouble. Yeah, I'm probably gonna.
Listening to Illenium, but well, that's still a young dude. The dude's so talented, so that's sick. Yeah. But what? So you were able to travel international.
Yeah.
What was your favorite spot?
Dude, I mean, in the past, I've been to 27 now in the last year and a half. Probably my favorite so far for sure is New Zealand.
Really?
Yeah. Just in terms of the landscape, it's like out of this world, man. It's straight out of the Lord of the Rings. It's unreal. That
is honestly exactly what I was hoping you were gonna say, because I'm actually planning a trip to New Zealand later this year in like November. Oh my god, that's sick.
You're gonna love it. And it was actually this trip. Sorry to keep going.
Oh no, yeah, of course.
But it was special because I got to take my mom out of the country for the first time.
That's awesome.
She'd never left Hawaii pretty much ever. So yeah, I got to take her and have some really cool memories in that. So it was a really sentimental trip too.
And I imagine being kind of like obviously a very talented photographer, you're seen as an influencer now too. You're an influencer. And I have to imagine that comes with some travel benefits too.
Yeah.
So that makes it so, dude, that's so cool that you flew out your mom for the first time. You're able to show her around. It was as an experienced traveler too, so you know what you're doing.
It's awesome, man. It was very, very emotional for her too. I mean, I think not to put myself in, or I mean, I'm trying to put myself in her shoes, but like, I honestly feel like I didn't really have much going for my life in the beginning, and for her to kind of see what I do now, it's kind of heavy for her. So
and I'm sure, dude, and I can only imagine as a parent, like having your child be able to monetize their passion and make a living out of their passion. That's like that's the dream for any parent. And on the other end, you're able to, through what you do and the success you have in the space, you're able to give back to your mom too. So it's like a win-win situation.
Exactly, dude.
Which is great, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's sick. What about crowd? What was your favorite crowd? Just last point on this crowd. Oh, actually, not last point, but yeah, what was your favorite crowd? What was the wildest crowd?
Hong Kong. I know this because
that's sick.
It was and this is like the most memorable one. There was like literally just Chinese kids just taking the rail and like almost breaking it. Like they were rocking it so hard that it was like flexing and like snapping in some places. So security had to stop all these Chinese kids from just starting riots. And
these guys know how to party.
They go ham, but they were like, I mean, but everyone's having such a good time. It wasn't like bad vibes or anything.
It's not like an intimidating, like these guys are gonna mob the stage right now.
Yeah, exactly. But they're just all just so hyped and just having fun. Yeah, Hong Kong is crazy. They're a cool crowd.
That's sick, dude. So sick. Okay, to close off this travel segment, are there any tips you can give to travel? Just kind of in general. Maybe
yeah,
airplane tricks, jet lag tricks, anything you picked up.
A couple tips for airplanes. Slippers and socks.
Word.
Yeah, sweatpants. You want
Keep it cozy.
You want to be comfortable for long flights. In terms of like, I think one thing I've experienced too with jet lag and trying to, what's the word? Acclimate to other time zones.
Yeah,
That's the right word. I was told not to eat on the plane. So
that way, I've heard the exact same thing.
So when you get off the plane, you start your first meal whenever the country or whenever that meal is supposed to be in the country or in the place.
That doing that keeps your circadian rhythm, which is your natural sleep cycle, kind of in line. Because if you're eating what would be like say 2 a.m. back home, that's gonna fuck up your rhythm.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a good tip.
Yeah.
Okay, man. So all right, I might edit this part. I have to think about where we're going next.
Yeah, you're good. No worries.
Okay, covered travel, covered the tour life. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about. Okay, so that was travel, and world travel is about the exact opposite end of a nice routine lifestyle, and so use that to transition into what is your daily routine. If you have one, or any like have to 100%, you got to do this in your day.
Yeah.
And like kind of wake up, just daily routine.
Yeah, for sure. Well, like you said, I mean, it changes depending on whether I'm traveling or if I'm like kind of home for a week or two.
Yeah, sorry, I should definitely have mentioned.
No.
What's your like once you're in your rhythm at home, like what?
Yeah, rhythm at home.
What's the routine?
Well, honestly, like I've actually been home for like the last 2 weeks, which is a pretty long stretch for me. But it's been great, man. Like I love it. But for me, what I've been doing and what I've kind of like for the past couple of years developed a bit of a routine in what I do. But I'm a big kind of like I meditate a lot. So when I wake up, like one of the first things I do is I kind of set my intentions for the day. You know, or whether that's like if I need to get stuff done or if I need to crank away at some video or do some content, then that's what I'll usually try to focus in on in the beginning of the day. Chug a lot of water.
Yep.
And then I try to stay in the gym as much as I can, but it's a challenge just being able, not knowing, you know, when that next time's going to be or when the next time they're going to fly out is. So but since I've been home, it's been pretty consistent. It's usually maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And then throughout the day, I start my day, set my intentions, get on the computer. If I need to start editing, I'll just usually crank it like as soon as I can.
Okay, yeah. So you like banging out the creative stuff earlier in the day.
I've always been told that when you wake up is when your mind's most creative. Because you haven't had the hustle and bustle of just like daily, you know, whatever distractions. That's when I've been told, you know, like your mind's really creative. So I try to take advantage of that, and I found that it kind of works. Then usually around, I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 p.m. like I'll take a little break, have my first meal or something. I've actually been doing like intermittent fasting too for a few months.
Yep.
Which is it's been It's crazy. All this knowledge is kind of coming around, you know, where like very, very beneficial stuff to your health. But I haven't eaten yet today. It's like 5 p.m.
And that's a very, for those of you, I've been on the intermittent fasting regimen for
it's great. Yeah.
For like a year now, which is, and I'll usually do like a 14 to 16 hour window. Same. What you're doing sounds more like, if you haven't eaten yet, dude, it's like it's almost 6 o'clock. Well, it's almost dinner time. So
it's interesting. Good. I go different, like my days kind of like fluctuate. Like some days I'll go like 20 and like I'll feel super good that day, but then other days like I don't last and I'll go like 13 or 14.
Dude, exactly. I don't want to act like every single day I do 16 hours. Like, dude, some days I'll do like 12 hours. I try to do at least 12 hours, and then I feel kind of guilty even if I do 12 hours. But if you guys want to continue. No, I was just going to say, if you guys want to incorporate a suit, because it's super easy to implement if you just have a little bit of discipline. It's cheap. You just don't eat. Just don't eat for half the day. You're good.
Yeah. Chug water.
And
chug water.
Yeah, chug water. And yeah, just don't eat for half the day. That doesn't mean but don't restrict calories. Don't deplete your calories. Just fit them into a smaller window.
Yeah.
If you guys want to try to get on a new trendy diet,
awesome.
that is very beneficial.
Dude, this has turned into biohacks.
Well, yeah, we got the health cat. Yeah, are you into biohacking?
A little bit. I mean, yeah.
I know, like that one. When I hung out with you guys on Oahu, I was talking to Amir a little bit about his involvement in biohacking. And because you two are close, I have to imagine you share some same likeness. Because I personally am super embedded into the biohack, like just optimizing health and just little tips and tricks to kind of get your mind and body right.
100%. I'm into it. I think I could be a lot better in doing more diligent research, but like for the stuff that I have done or like have experience with, it's life changing. Like it's huge, man, and it's just little tricks and things that I learned a lot from Amir too, actually, because he's super into it. And then he listens a lot to like Joe Rogan, like his podcast and stuff, and so he gets a lot of it from there. But yeah, it's been intermittent fasting has been huge. Like meditating, it's the same thing, like for your mental health.
Yeah, and I think that's like intermittent fasting. Obviously, it's studied to you'll burn fat through intermittent fasting. You can lose weight if that's an issue for you. But for me personally, and what it sounds like you're saying is that the mental pros you get from it and the mental benefits you get are far outweigh the kind of just the aesthetic side of it.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I found too, dude. Like intermittent fasting, you're just more crisp, you know? Like you're crisp throughout the morning because after you eat, you can tend to feel a little sluggish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
what's funny dude. Is I've kind of like even recently just like after a meal, after you like having a meal after you've fasted, like you noticeably see your energy kind of just like dwindle down just because your body starts to redigest and it's like expending that energy. So I feel you. It's awesome.
It's just more energy to put towards the creative and thinking side of things.
Yeah,
dude, that's great. You're into that. I think health is extremely important in your life. Once you have your health in line, everything else can kind of fall into place.
Yeah.
If all else fails, you have your health, you know. So
exactly.
Yeah, covered routine. Try to think of if there's anything else specifically I want to cover. Okay, I think we're wrapping up there.
Yeah,
but
good.
No, hold on. I'm gonna ask you. All right, Nainoa, if you could give one single piece of advice to a young version of yourself who's still trying to figure things out, still trying to find his way, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot. Honestly, I would just it's probably super simple, but I would just tell myself to, just quiet down, quiet that head, those thoughts in your head of like I was a very kind of anxious kid, I'm just pretty nervous all the time. Yeah, and just very not always secure in knowing what I was gonna do, and so like that in turn just led me to be kind of like a drifter, I feel like, and I would psych myself out a lot and kind of just give myself unnecessary stress. So I think my big advice for me would just be like, don't worry, like again, just that idea of
just quiet the bad thoughts,
quiet that voice. It's because that voice, it only judges, it only condemns and critiques you, and most of the time it doesn't have anything good to say. I learned that, I think I learned that from there was like this Chris Evans interview where he talked a lot about this, but it's been a very like profound, I guess, kind of idea over the last year plus. I owe that a lot to like Sam Potter, who's just super wise for his age, and he just helps out with everything, and I think that'd be the main thing, and for anyone kind of just who can relate to that idea of not really knowing what they're doing, or if they have just that voice in their head, and everybody does, everybody
exactly,
has
dude.
it.
That's what I was about to say. This is such an important piece of advice to give, and I couldn't agree more. Is because anytime you're gonna do something, anytime you're gonna to do something great, or you want to achieve something great, you're gonna have to step outside of your comfort zone.
Oh yeah.
And nobody wants to be uncomfortable, you know.
Yeah.
But you have to, exactly. And you're always gonna doubt yourself. You're always gonna think you're not good enough.
Yeah, man.
And you just gotta fucking act like you just gotta do it.
Yeah.
And that's what the brand like action. Just take action.
Action. I love it, dude. Exactly.
Action will lead to getting a little bit better and a little bit better every day, and then that'll bring confidence. And the more confidence you get, the more the more you'll grow as a person, as an individual, and in what you're doing.
Yeah, it just all falls into place, dude. Love it. I love it.
Exactly. So, dude, Nainoa, I couldn't thank you enough for doing this. It's so sick that we were able to have you on here, and I think that the audience will get a crazy amount of insight from this. So, dude, I just want to thank you.
Man. No, thank you.
And again, celebrate you for the success you've found and what you contribute to the space. And dude, I think you're definitely one of the individuals that's pushing this space forward. And again, like really getting across the point that storytelling is such an important factor of what you're doing, and like it's such an important aspect of this space.
Thank you, dude. Appreciate it.
Dude, thank you so much. Where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at Nainoa Langer, YouTube, Facebook. It's pretty much all the same thing. It's been awesome chatting today, bro. Thank you for having me.
Dude, I'm super happy with how this conversation went. This was awesome. So again, I just want to thank you. You guys check out Nainoa if by some chance you haven't yet. And this is the Action Creator Series with Mr. Nainoa Langer. Actionable of all, guys. Peace. Yeah.
You. Thanks, brother.